Hello, Alexandra and Marco from Craftworld Studio with you. Welcome to another tutorial. Today I will show you how to paint your Imperial Fist on Primaris Space Marine using fast, effective, fun and easy approach.
So enjoy!
Let's start! So let's start adding the colors. I will start with red ochre from Scale Artist Color. Next one is magenta, yellow, it's intense yellow, and yellow one from Watercolors. This one is almost white, it's very warm white, and it's very thin paint, so that's why I'm using it in combination with those already on the palette. So let's start with first step. I don't usually work in steps, but to make this tutorial even easier, I will start with step of adding shadows. So I will mix a bit of red ochre and magenta.
So now you're starting from building from the deep shadows, right?
Yeah, this will be my deepest shadows on this work. So as you can see, I'm not making a constant mix of the colors because I want different values of magenta and ochre red to have on my shadows, even on some mid-tones in later progress. But let's just add them there. So I will go with very thin layer of magenta also over the sections that will later be highlighted, something like this. It looks a bit like a wash, but not completely. A bit more thicker, like this. So you will notice how I am going between a mix of red ochre and magenta and switching it, and even going with I'm trying to move the color with my brush to achieve that first shadows and mid-tones in the first layer.
So it's a way of underpainting the...
Yes, exactly. So you will notice as my layers dry, they become darker, and as more layers I will add, they will be even darker, or where I have one layer, it will be lighter spot on the mini. But it is for this step, it's not that important, but I want to build it to have a bigger picture of how the volumes will look in the later steps. So when everything is covered in magenta and reds, we can go to the yellow layers next. Let's take a moment to see what effect do I get with this. So as you can notice, the magenta layer below and the yellow thin layer that goes right above, it gives that kind of orangey tone that is nice for my middle tones, because I will go for the lightest yellow and that will be my lightest tone later. And then I don't have to get that washout yellow when you put a lot of white there.
So this way you actually skip some of the layering process by using the thin layer that will be almost transparent, so you can see the magenta below, but this magenta is actually now more like orangey brown because of the mixing of the layers, right?
So yes, you in this process you leave layers overlap into another and they create the colors. You don't have to mix them on your palette and then go layer by layer. You just have your layer, your thin layer, work for you. It depends on the brush strokes. You see how I did it kind of carefully, because when the color is still wet, you don't want to move it too much, because in the process when it started to dry, you can leave some spots. And
yeah, that makes sense.
let's continue. So you can see how it's slowly building. I mean, it's even fast, as you will notice how when the color dries, it's already become more yellow on some parts where I had more paint, and more transparent on the parts where I had less paint. So when some of the layer dries, you can repeat them to make even more yellow surface, as we want this armor to be yellow at the end. So I will just continue to work this way all over to the figure. As you could see, I continued painting some parts and here also. And in few layers, only few layers of thin yellow, when I cover everything that should be yellow, we will continue on the next step. After we finished with adding all the yellow layers, I will start mixing yellow with white to go even lighter. The white we're using is yellow 1. If if you remember from the start of the video. So let's start. So as you can notice, I'm going very wide with this light, also making the contrast even higher. I'm also working a bit more around the edges, building the definition of his armor. So this mix of yellow, white and yellow, the lighter yellow that I am using now, will be my lightest color. And with this light, I'm building definition of his armor. And I will not go lighter, because if I go lighter, this will not look like a yellow armor. It will look more like a gold or other shiny metal. So I will keep this light yellow as the highest value of my highlights. So following this technique, I will continue working around all armor on this model. So I applied this technique over the whole model. And now I will start with adding the black details. So let's make natural black. I will use these two colors, Prussian blue and burnt sienna. So in mix of these two colors, I will let my Prussian blue be a bit more dominant because I want this black to be colder in contrast with my very warm armor color. So I'm trying to be a bit more careful here, not to ruin the yellow I already did. So I will paint also the rim of the shoulder pad in black. Can you notice how this black, as you can see on my finger, is my finger visible?
Yeah.
So you can see how it's not that dark, but in the contrast it looks even darker because it's colder than the yellow armor. So that's the effect we also wanted to get here.
Well, it also looks very natural. It's not like straight black from the bottom.
Yes. We have that value. So let's put the black color also on Bolter. On some parts a bit more dense and on some part a bit more thin.
So you're starting with a dense amount of color now?
Yes, and then I will go a bit thinner on some parts, like this. A bit more thinner.
So this way you're actually like having the different variation of light and shadows and
yes, so on the parts where my color is dense, that parts will be darker, and those that are covered with thin layer, they will be more visible. The color from beneath will be more visible. So I'll have kind of a gradient already made. Here around the hand, I'll go a bit thicker.
I love how the yellow armor is now becoming more and more kind of dominant now that you are shadowing down the rest of the details.
Yeah, true. It's more in accent.
Yeah, and gaining more depth, especially on the details on the belt.
So I applied the black color that we made from blue and brown on the places where I wanted to have black. And now I am going to highlight it by adding a bit of white. I use this color. It's a Warfront white. So I don't want to turn my black into gray, so I will just add the lights on some edges and parts to make definition. Going a bit more darker because it seems too light. Like this. Way better. And then just a pinch of white to make it a bit lighter on the edges only. There. To make definition on the skull and definition on the wings here. So on the bolter, also creating that contrast like we did on the armor. So now just with the darker colors.
Just nice and easy on all of the edges to give a bit of definition.
Yes. So our main camera shut down and didn't record, but what I did here, it was easy part, was that I put the white on the eyes, white on the lenses, and white here on this little thingy. And then I went over with transparent green, not transparent, fluorescent green. And I did the white first to boost my saturation of the green. So I can even go with more layers of the green here because it's very thin paint and it will glow even more if I add it there like this. And we record this thingy because it needs more layers. I'll just add more green here and even on the edges to make it glow more. So he's looking at the screen and it's very bright. So that was the part that our camera didn't catch. Also, I started painting the helmet in red. I'm using this primary red. It is from Scale Artist, Smooth Paints. And what I did, and I'm still doing, is adding very thin layer and repeating that layer on some parts where I want it to be a bit darker. And the line that you see that I left is supposed to be white, and I will paint it white. So I'll just repeat some layers here, boosting the contrast a bit more here. Okay, a bit more here on the back. Is it visible? So now I will add white lining. I already have white on my palette, so that will be easy. Let's start with white. Again, I will go very thin here, and then I will go here.
That's stormtrooper precision.
That's a compliment. So just go with thin layers, because then it is easier to repair something if it gets on the places where you don't want this color. And then I will just go over all lines like this. And I will wait for it to dry and then probably go again, and then I will do it on the upper part. So just like this. I will also add red. Is this visible? I'll also add a bit of red on my purity seal here. And white on the little scrolls. I will just go with very thin glaze of yellow white. This time I don't want too much attention down there, and I want it to be thin again. Let's paint the base, and I will go with a green color because I think it will go nice in this combination with this magenta, yellow, and green details on the eyes, and those cold, dark, call it blacks. I will use light moss green.
So it's like an olive green?
Yes, it's more olive, but it's still bright.
Okay.
Bright enough, and I will mix it with my Prussian blue on some parts to make it darker. So let's start first applying this green. So as you can see, I'm going thin, not too much thin. So I will add it on the parts where I want it to be more, this color more dominant, like this. Is it nice green, Marco?
Yeah, it goes really nice and contrasted.
And it's not too bright, it will not take the attention from the model. Now I'm mixing it with a bit of Prussian blue. I have a bit of darker tone as well. Even prettier green. Building the volume also of the base as well. Doesn't matter if my color go there, because that will be black. Okay. So here I will go even more with these bluish tones.
So it's like in the shadow.
Yes, shadow of his body. So as you can see, I'm also mixing the color on the base.
Directly.
Yes, getting some nice new tones. They're also over very white base, so that's why they're bright. If I went with this magenta below, this color would look more desaturated because it's complementary. So I just left it white so this color can be dominant enough on its own. I'll also do that here to connect. I will also take a bit more yellow to make some highlights on the base right away. Like this. Here a bit. this dry, it will look even darker, so that's why I go a bit brighter at this point. So as you can see, the base is dry, and I also add the black on the bottom of the base. So this is how our Imperial fist looks so far, but only one thing is missing. It's to add his Imperial fist sign, and then this Space Marine is ready. Quick and easy. So I will first draw a circle, and I will start with white color and very thin, just to be sure that I will draw nice circle, not strange one. So I'll just start from the middle, and I will go around. Okay, we have small circle, now go a bit more, something like that. So I'll just wait for it to dry and then go with another layer, because when I move the color like this, the color from beneath appear, because some parts of the colors are not dry, some are, and then sometimes we need to wait a bit. And be sure that your hand is in stance that is suitable for you. So when you move your brush, you have the control. That's what I'm doing now. I'm searching for the angle that is suitable for me and the camera. And if you make a bit of mistake like this, you can cover it with color. So our Imperial fist is done and ready to smash some heretics. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more future content. Thank you for watching. Marco, thank you for filming.
Yeah.
And
until next one.
bye.
Bye bye.